Hi there everyone, welcome back to my channel. Now a video that I've been meaning to do for a little while mainly because I thought it would be a bit of fun for me and so that you guys could get to know a little bit more about me as a content creator, as a person, as a Final Fantasy fan, as a player of Dissidia Final Fantasy and the TCG, all sorts of things. I decided I wanted to make a video that was a Q&A, ask me anything style video so that you guys could post those video questions and then I could answer them. So what I did is over the past couple of weeks I posted on both YouTube and Discord as to sort of the questions that people might want to ask me, and I decided to select a few of those and to answer them for you today. So if you guys want to know a little bit more about me as a content creator and as a person, then stay tuned and keep on watching. Don't forget to check out all of the social media links in the description box below before we get started. That includes my Facebook, my Twitter, my Discord, all sorts of different things, my Twitch, and all sorts of various different things that you can come and have a look at if you want to find out more about me. And of course don't forget about the giveaways that's currently going on for the Cactuars and the Sephiroth Portrait, so if you want to have a look at those then check out the links in the description box below. Now the first question that I was asked here that I wanted to answer is from Chris Croft, which is simply, what made you get into YouTube? Well, honestly, I got into YouTube maybe 3 or 4 years ago. I forget exactly how long ago it was, but I actually wanted to do something that was a reason that I would have to do something different and creative. I wanted to just kind of have a chat with people, give people a reason if they ever found out who I was or anything like that, a reason to come and talk to me. I actually used it for a long time as a creative outlet, as a painter and as an artist, because I'd actually used to paint Yu-Gi-Oh cards a long time ago. Despite the fact that I didn't really play the game all that much, I thought it would be quite a fun niche market to get into. And because I worked in a traditional game shop at the time, I heard about the Final Fantasy TCG coming out, and then I ended up being, as a big Final Fantasy fan, I ended up being really interested in it. I thought, hey, why not give this a go as a content creator? And it kind of escalated from there, and then I've played the mobile games for a good couple of years now. I've played Opera Omnia since day one, and then it took me a little while, and I thought, you know what, maybe it'd be fun to try doing some content for that as well. So over the course of time, my reasons have evolved, but primarily, my primary reason has been mostly just to have a reason for people to want to talk to me, basically. So if everyone ever sees me out in the wild out there, come say hello. It's pretty much the reason I started YouTube in the first place. The next question comes from Discord, and it's from Heimdall that says, who does your hair? Now this is a nice and simple, just anything question, although today is not the best example of what my hair looks like, but I have had pretty much every colour under the sun at this point, and for the past 3 years I've basically had one person doing it, who is a good friend of mine, Verity Clark, who has just branched out into opening her own salon. So if you're ever in Colchester or you're down my way, then definitely look her up. We've done competitions together, me as a makeup artist, her as the hairdresser, and we've worked really, really well together, and honestly she's an extremely talented hairdresser. I shall definitely leave a link to her Instagram if you want to check her out. She does some amazing things with colours, so definitely go and have a look at her work as well. Now the next question is coming from YouTube, and it's from Demo2, which says, what's the first game you ever played, if you remember, and or which game had the most influence on you as a kid? Now, I'm going to answer the second part of that first because it actually influences the first part, but my favourite game of all time is The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. I grew up on that game, I played that game with my dad. If there were ever a game that I could speed run, it would be that one. I know it like the back of my hand. And as far as I remembered, up until I was in my late 20s, it was the first game that I ever played. However, I found out within, well, maybe I was 28, 29, something like that, and I found a photo of me when I was very, very little, not playing Link to the Past. I was younger than that, but I was playing Castlevania on the NES. Now, as someone who's a massive Castlevania fan, which we'll get to in a little while, I was really shocked by this, and I was like, apparently I was a lot more influenced by Castlevania than I thought. But to this day, A Link to the Past has always been, and most likely will always be, my favourite game of all time. And then going back to Discord, the next question comes from Flux, who is actually one of my moderators on my Discord and does very, very, very good job. He's a wonderful guy and is a good friend of mine. And he asks what my favourite 3 gaming franchises are. Now, I'm not going to mention Final Fantasy here because despite the fact that I've loved all the Final Fantasy games, there are a lot of franchises and games out there that I absolutely adore, and some of them are probably expected, some of them are not. In all honesty, I actually used to make little top 10 lists of my favourite games of all time and laminate them and everything, full on anorak moment. But my favourite 3 gaming franchises would have to be, outside of Final Fantasy, would have to be Zelda, Legend of Zelda, Street Fighter, and Castlevania. So for those are the ones that have always stuck with me through childhood, through adulthood, through everything. The next question comes from Swalthazad that says, your makeup skills are excellent, do you plan on cosplaying more? Your Kefka look made me want to see more. Right, well, first of all, thank you very much for anyone who has seen my Kefka cosplay. I was very, very proud of it. I did a lot of work on it with my friend Dawn, who helped me sew everything together. She's a fantastic seamstress and does very, very well, and I like to think I helped a fair amount with it, but she was the mastermind behind it all, and then I wanted to do something that was very face-oriented. For those of you who don't actually know, I'm a trained makeup artist, and I've tried to make it as a makeup artist for a very long time, and unfortunately that career didn't ever really take off. But I would love to cosplay more, to be honest, but unfortunately it costs an awful lot of money that I don't really have, and I would love to do... There's so many FF characters I would want to do, most of them villains. I would die to cosplay the Emperor. Caius is another one. My newest obsession when it comes to Final Fantasy is Innocence from Final Fantasy XIV. Oh my god, I mean, if I could do anything armor related, I'd love to do Dark Knight Cecil. There's so many characters I'd love to do, but unfortunately at the moment, I spent all my resources making Kefka, so he's going to have to do for the time being. But hey, who knows, maybe in the future something else will come along. My next question comes from Zan on Discord that says, if you won Worlds, this is for Final Fantasy trading card game, what card would you want with your name on it? Now, for those of you who don't already know, last year, the winner of Worlds, which was Alex Hancock's, got to choose a card that already existed in the game and make a full art promo out of it that had his name on it. And as far as I know, the limitations on it is that you couldn't have a legend card, it couldn't have Yoshitaka Amano artwork on it, and it had to, it was, I think past that, I can't think of the other stipulations that were on it. But if I were to pick a card, and the chances of me winning Worlds at this point is very, very slim to none, then I would probably pick 4CP Phoenix. A lot of people don't realise that this is actually one of my favourite cards in the entire game, and it's a hero card, and it's got different artwork on it. But I actually really like the picture. I think it's a really playable card. I really love playing it. I think it's one of the most fun cards to play because it allows you to think outside the box with your deck builds a lot. Honestly, it's a card that I would love to see reprinted, and I just would love more people to play. Next question comes from Caleb Thorne, which says, if you could add any Final Fantasy character to the city of Final Fantasy Opera Omnia, who would it be? And when did I start playing FFTCG, and would I make videos of me playing the game? First of all, with Opera Omnia, the character who I'd love to see more than anyone would probably be Orlando from Final Fantasy Tactics, or Marsh/Mont Blanc from Final Fantasy Tactics Advance. I actually really love Final Fantasy Tactics as a lore, and I think it's a great game, and I think it should have more representation, and I just think Orlando is like badass. I have a big thing about the Holy Lightning style paladin characters, so Beatrix, Agrius, Orlando, that kind of thing, so I really like the character, and generally he tends to come out pretty OP in everything he's in, so I'd like to see them do the same for Opera Omnia. I started playing FFTCG the day it was announced, pretty much. I started playing it because, like I said earlier, I worked in a game shop, I'd heard about it, and I thought, do you know what, yeah, this is a game I could get behind. And then I tried it out. I was given some demo decks from the store I worked at the time. I tried it out, and I actually really liked the game. I've played other TCGs pretty heavily before that, and then I thought, you know what, yeah, I could get into this, and then I did. And then, could I make videos of me playing the game? I could at some point, but it's very difficult for me to do so at the moment because in order for me to play the game, I need other people to play with. And the people that I play with, my brother, some of my very good friends as well, we have like a very small play group now because I no longer play at the store I used to play at because I don't work there anymore. And then, it's difficult to kind of align schedules, and then when we get together we tend to go out to play, so bringing people back here, videoing it, getting it set up, and obviously visual quality is something that is very important to me when I make my videos, so I would want to make sure that the setup was absolutely pristine perfect before I did that. Kara Barris asks, which character in any game series has had the biggest likeable factor reversal in your opinion, and what caused you to change your mind? Honestly, this has to go to 9S in Nier Automata. When you play through the game the first time, he's quite nonchalant and a bit boring, quite frankly, and I didn't really care for the character. But those of you who have played Nier Automata know that he has a pretty significant role change within the game, and his mindset changes pretty drastically as you play through it. And I thought that the sort of depiction of what happens to him and the way he kind of snaps is just so brilliantly done that he's become one of my favourite characters, period. Not just because like he had the kind of reversal in likability or anything, but he just took the volume to 11 and he went completely crazy, and I loved it. I have a big thing for the crazies in video games. Kuja and Kefka are my favourite Final Fantasy villains, for God's sake. Everyone knows I like a little bit of crazy. Timg asks, do I have any other hobbies aside from Final Fantasy? Do I have a favourite board game? What's my favourite food? I am not a big board game player, to be perfectly honest. I mean, I play card games because they're quick and they're easy, and like a fighting game, if you like. I have a big thing about... I've loved fighting games since I was very young. I used to play them competitively. I wish I still could, but unfortunately I don't have any sparring partners anymore. So for things like Street Fighter, Tekken, Soul Calibur, Super Smash Bros, I actually love fighting games, and I never get to play them anymore. But the fact that you have like a short task that you can repeat like as many times as you're willing to play, I like more than playing a board game, which generally takes sort of like a good board game will take 3 to 4 hours to really sit and play, and I don't, you know, for that reason I don't have the attention span for a board game particularly. But when it comes to other hobbies, yeah, I could say I have other hobbies besides Final Fantasy. I do like a lot of video games, obviously. I draw, I paint, I still consider makeup a hobby. I love travelling. I absolutely adore travelling when I can afford to do so. I've been to many places in the world, and I love seeing basically meeting new people. I love meeting people from different cultures. I love just being in environments that make me think, oh, I never thought of that way. And I love, part of the reason, like I said when I spoke about like starting YouTube, I just love talking to people. I love talking to new people. I love learning about people. For me, the biggest thing in the world is those conversations you have with someone you've just met that last until 3 AM and you didn't even realise that an hour had passed. Like, that's my big thing, and I love doing it, which is why I love making the videos and interacting with so many different people, doing the streaming, things like that. It's daunting, sure, but giving me an outlet to kind of talk to new people and be creative at the same time, you can't really beat that. And then as for favourite food, anything with cheese on it. I'm a big cheese fiend. You know, the fact that I managed to lose loads of weight, I'm probably going to pile it all back on because cheese, to be quite honest. Tseng asks, what are the differences between the Opera Omnia and the FFTCG communities, if there are any, and do you have any words of wisdom for LGBT people who want to become content creators or streamers, etc.? Is there a strategy to building a non-toxic community? It's difficult to say with differences between the two communities, because while I've done a lot of work with Opera Omnia now, I've never really met very many people face to face when it comes to Opera Omnia, so it's difficult for me to kind of give that an answer to that, because the people I've met some of my closest friends through FFTCG, and I've met some really good people through Opera Omnia, but networking is not my strong suit when it comes to the internet. I'm a lot better. Stick me in a party environment or stick me in a room full of people and I'll talk to anybody. Stick me behind a keyboard and I tend to be a bit, I'm not sure what to say here in case I say something wrong. But I've honestly been very fortunate. I've not had to deal with much in the way of nasty people. I've had a few, don't get me wrong, but I've not had to deal with a huge amount of it. But both communities have been extremely welcoming to me, and honestly, I've been very lucky. And then when it comes to words of wisdom for LGBT people, I mean, I don't hide the fact that I am a gay man, and I've never really made much of a fuss about it either. So I'm not secretive, but I've certainly not made that the focus of my channel. Like, I'm always welcoming to anybody that talks to me. And yeah, I've had a few comments here and there that made me go, really? But generally speaking, it's very, very welcoming. I mean, I think that my strategy to building a non-toxic community, if you like, is give out the energy you want to receive. Like I said, I try to be welcoming to anybody. Like, doesn't matter where you come from, what your background is, who you sleep with, or anything like that. It's just, I just like people, no matter where they come from, and I try to give out a positive energy that tries to be very informative and friendly, as opposed to I'm quite bad at the generating hype. I'm not very good at it. I think that I try to be quite calm and mature with a lot of the things that I try and do, which makes me worry, if anything, that I'm not internety enough to do videos and things like that. But it has resulted in what's become an extremely friendly community, and as I said earlier, I'm extremely lucky to have what I have. Rogue Sig asks, are you planning to branch your channel out with other games, like other mobile games, console games, PC games, or other TCGs like Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon, or Magic? It's very unlikely that I will branch out into other TCGs. I have played TCGs for a large portion of my adult life. Before I played Final Fantasy, I played a lot of Magic, I played some Yu-Gi-Oh!, I played a bit of Pokemon. I was very well known within the Universal Fighting System, now known as Universa's game, as I actually won Nationals for that in 2009, and I won a character card that was actually based around me, which was really cool. But as a content creator, I don't feel that I don't feel that I have the passion for other TCGs that I had when, like, maybe 10 years ago. As opposed to other video games, I would love to branch out into other video games, but honestly, I want to make sure that I'm at a steady pace with the content that I put out for what I currently do, so that's Final Fantasy TCG and Dissidia Opera Omnia, before I start looking into moving into other things. I do actually play the other Final Fantasy mobile games. I play Brave Exvius, I play Record Keeper, I tried to play Mobius and I couldn't quite get my head around it, to be quite honest, but I play the other two quite extensively, and I would love to branch out into more sort of, or less niche titles, so something that can open me up to a wider audience. But realistically speaking, it depends on you guys and the things that you'd want to see. So I play a lot of video games. I've spoken a lot about other video games that aren't Final Fantasy. If you guys want to see other things come from me, then let me know in the comments, and then who knows, maybe I'll do it. And then the last question that I'm going to ask today, or rather series of questions, comes from Peacecraft on Discord, which says, what is your advice to players who left FFTCG and looking to get back into the game? I'm going to ask these questions as I read them so that I don't confuse myself. Honestly, pulling out some of your older cards, because a lot of players don't have them these days, pulling those out can actually result in you having more trade bait than you thought you had. Like, a lot of Opus 1 cards are still worth quite a bit. And past that, looking into some of the starter decks that have been released since then, particularly the dual decks, are a really great way of getting into the game. And particularly if you have a friend that you want to play with, the dual decks are a fantastic way of getting some cards that have been reprinted that are really powerful, new cards that are really strong. So like Wrath vs. Knights has the new Varn and the new Shantotto in it, which are both amazing, and it has reprints like Cecil and Phoenix and Diablos, which are all amazing. So looking at getting those would be a great shout. Speaking of which FFTCG starter deck do you feel carries the most value in terms of cards still playable today, leads to having a competitive playable deck most easily? As I've already mentioned, I think the dual decks are incredible value. I think that any player that's looking to get into the competitive scene for the game should pick up both the Heroes and Villains starter decks and the Wraith vs. Knight starter decks, because they're both extraordinary value. But if you want something cheap and efficient that's going to get you far, or relatively far, in a local competitive scene, the FF14 Scion deck is great, and it's not difficult to build upon if you want to take it that little bit further. From your current experience and ongoing aspirations in the field, what do you think it takes to be as successful as a content creator in the Final Fantasy community? I don't know, if one of you guys could let me know, that would be great. Honestly, I have no idea. I kind of just make videos that I like and that I would want to watch, and I put them out there, and hopefully other people will want to watch them too. But past that, I actually have no idea. If you could go back and remake any video you've currently released, which would it be and why? Well, there's a few videos where I've looked back on my Opera Omnia stuff and I've made incorrect decisions. Like, for example, I do think I put Noctis too high in my EX shop sort of estimations and things like that, and I could have put Tidus higher. There's no videos that I don't tend to put out a video that I outright regret. So honestly, there's very few videos that I've released that I would go back and make. Honestly, looking back through some of my old videos is actually hilarious. If you want a laugh, go and watch some of my first ever videos, because the few times that I played Yu-Gi-Oh! I made vlogs on them. I did random stuff, so go and have a look at those if you want to laugh. Aside from the Banos del Sol incident, let's not talk about that, what has been the most frustrating weapon to successfully chase down in Dissidia Opera Omnia? Well, the Banos del Sol incident was me trying to chase down Squall EX, where I actually ended up with about 28 copies of Thancred's 15 CP weapon named Banos del Sol before I got even Selfie 35 or Squall EX, so that was rough. But past that, it has to be Beatrix EX. Bear in mind this came out before the PT system, the G-Token system came out. I must have spent at least 80,000 gems, at least 300 tickets tracking down that weapon, and she just would not budge. And Lord knows I love her, but she was a bitch that day. Which character in DFFOO do you feel has had the most mileage with their kit overall so far in the global meta? Now this is between two. Lena has had an extraordinary, lengthy a period of time within the global meta. She's had so much going for her. She's constantly used ever since the day she came out. I just don't think there's ever been a time where she's bad. And then Warrior of Light has an extraordinary run. I mean, it might have only recently started, but I know how long that character goes on for, and he lasts way into the Chaos area, so it's got to be either Lena or Warrior of Light for me. And then finally, which card has had the most successful meta career in FFTCG? Again, this is between two. Either Shantotto and Opus 1. I don't think there has ever been a point where that card has been unplayable. She's been played ever since the game came out, and there's got to be something said for that. And Genesis from Opus 3, because every single ice deck on the planet runs at least 2 copies of this card. He's been extraordinary since the day he came out. They reprinted him, everyone still wanted him, and now we're coming up to Opus 10 and he's still in every meta ice deck going. So it's between those two. So that's going to be it for this video. I wanted to give you guys a little bit more of an insight into both me as a person and me as a content creator, and give some light answers to questions you had about both FFTCG and Dissidia Opera Omnia while I was at it, and let you guys know a few thoughts I had when it came to those games. I hope that you've enjoyed the video, and I hope that you continue to ask questions and you continue to talk to me and ask me things about the various games, or anything really, because like I said at the beginning of the video, talking to you guys is the reason that I started doing YouTube in the first place. I just like having conversations, and as anyone who's ever watched any of my videos or my streams knows, it takes quite a lot to shut me up. So hopefully you've enjoyed the video, and I really hope that you enjoy all of the videos that I make. Don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell for notifications, because that does actually make quite a difference when it comes to YouTube nowadays. So that little link bell down there, it's pretty important, so definitely give that a click. And obviously don't forget to check out all the social media links that I've left in the description box below for you. Thanks ever so much for joining me, and hopefully I'll see you guys soon. Take care. Bye.